Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to part two. In this part of the tutorial, we will be covering the ability to color the voids. So we'll show you how to set this up so you can set them to be whatever color you like, as well as some more advanced modes like coloring them based on the direction they're flying, they're heading, and finally connecting them to color based on the amount of friends that they have, sort of a heat map view. So if you're interested in this, let's see how we do that. I'm going to start simple by allowing you to change the color of the void. So I'm in my particle shader. Now make sure that you are in the particles shader, or you have the scene, the void particle scene selected. Otherwise you won't be able to control the variables over here. They'll be locked out unless you want to make this unique. So we're going to make a uniform vec 4. Just call it color. You should see over here, color pops up here. And if we add a hit called the source color, you can actually change this to be a color selection, which is nice. So we can go in here, let's say we want to make the voids red. We can set that, and then this is a built-in variable color, like you see for transform above, where we can actually control the color. So let's set that to our variable, and let's run it and see if these voids come up. There you go. You get your new color. The other thing I'm going to do, because I think it makes it more visible, is change the environment to be black. Is that rendering environment? The clear color here. I'm just going to make this black. Close that. Maybe these guys a little brighter. Let's run it again. Okay, there we go. So that's what we're going to go with for setting the color. What I want to do is add it to that panel we had where we can control all of the other aspects of the void. So we're going to go to our main here, and I'm going to use that. Okay, so back in our main function here, we want to add a variable so that we can actually control that color. There's a cool thing you can do here. Let's click on the main scene to group these. So let's say these are all the void settings. I can do a export category, and I can give this a name. I call this like void settings. And what you'll see happen over here is now this has a little title for void settings, and then if I want to have another category for like rendering settings, let's call it that, I can do this, and then I'm going to create a variable export, and this will be a color. I'm going to call this variable void color, and I'm going to set it equal to a default color. Start with boring white. And I'm going to use the setter and getter to set this. I'm going to talk about some of the complications with doing this. So let's set the new color that comes in. Void color equal to new color. But I need to do a check here because I want to set this on that particle node, and the particle node won't be instantiated the first time this gets hit because I made an export variable. So when you make something an export variable, it will call the setter and getter as this is coming up. It'll call it before the onReady function. The tree won't be there. This will fail. We'll say it's calling something on a null. So By doing this, if is inside tree, it will check to see if that's if we're there yet, if it's been instantiated. If it has, then it'll set it. I'm going to set this on the Boid particles. I need to get the process material. And then I need to set the shader parameter that we call color. And I'm going to set it with the void color. Now, if you, oh, what did I do here? Should be color. Okay. Now, if I run this, one problem you'll see is they don't come up white because this hasn't been called, because the first time it went into this, they weren't inside the tree, so it didn't call the set. Now, if I set this after the fact, so let's, I don't know, let's pick a different color. How about blue? And then we'll look at that. Now you can see this set. So if we want to fix that, one thing that we can do is basically, I don't know if this is the best way to do it, but this is one of the solutions I have, is we can go in here in our ready function and we can just set void color equal to void color. And that will cause that to trigger again once you get it on ready. So now you'll see our starting color is blue. That will come up blue. If I change this to orange, now that should come up orange. All right, so we're going to be using this technique for some other variables, so I just wanted to talk through that quickly before we went further. Now that we have the basics for coloring voids, let's do something a little more interesting. So we want to color these voids based on the directions they're heading, and the way we're going to do that is by mapping their heading to a texture map. So on the right you can see a texture map. It's important for this if you want this smooth flow of 360 that it sort of wraps. So you can see I've got red at the top of the texture, red at the bottom of the texture. In texture maps, they use what's called UV coordinates. The top left is 0, 0. The bottom right is 1, 1. And so we want to map, we'll just use 0 for U, the X direction, but the V direction, we're going to map the heading by dividing it by 360, which is the max heading here. And you'll see for a heading of 0, we'll be at the top there. We'll get red void, 0 divided by 360 is 0. And then you can step through the other values here just to get an example. There's 90, 180 would put us there, 270 would put us there. So let's see what that looks like to implement. We're going to use a tool called GIMP to create this texture map for the heading. So file new, I'm just going to make a 1 pixel wide by 32 pixel high image. Pretty small, but that's all we need for this. And then I'm going to use the full saturation spectrum gradient to create this. So if I just start at the top, I can hold control and drag down to the bottom here. I get a nice texture map that I can use to map my headings. So then I'm going to do a file, export. I'm going to export this as a PNG. I'm going to select heading map and export that. All right. Now I'm back in Godot. I'm going to go back to my particle shader and bring that up. And I'm going to add a new variable. This is going to be uniform sampler 2D. I'm going to call this heading map. Okay, once I do that, you should see this pop up over here. Here's heading map. I'm going to get that heading map. Sorry. That I created. I'm going to drop that in the particle shader folder. So now I have that, and I can set that over here. So there's our heading map is in there. And now I'm going to set the color. So let's just comment this out for a second. Show you how this works. Color equals texture. And then I'm going to use the heading map. And what we talked about earlier, the U is the UV, so I'm going to give it 0 for the X, so we've got 1 pixel wide. And then for the heading, I'm going to convert this to degrees because I have a hard time thinking in radians. And that information comes from that texture that has the Boid data. It is in the blue, so red is X position, green is Y position, and blue is the rotation. So we've got our blue there, and then we need to divide that by 360, like we talked about, to map that between 0 and 1 for the UV coordinates. So now if we run it, you should see the Boids flying, getting colored based on the direction that they're flying. And there we go. This is a little chaotic with this many Boids. I might turn that down. Let's adjust that really quickly, just while working on this. Go back into main, and let's just try like 5,000. So we pop this up. Okay, that's a little better. So there you can see now they're being colored by the direction that they're heading. I would like some way to be able to basically toggle or pick which color mode I want. So we're going to go through adding an enumeration to select the different color modes. So let's put this in the same section that we had here. So if I'm in my main, and over here, so get this rendering section. So as long as this is the active one, this is where the variables that will go. So I'm going to export a variable called void color mode, and I'm going to make this an enum. So let's create that enum right above this here. So enum void color mode, and come up with some names for these. Solid, and let's call this one heading. So we've got 2 color modes here. I'm going to use that set. Set new, and then I'm going to set the void color mode, new color mode, and then the same thing I did before. I need to check and see if we're inside the tree. And now we are setting, we're going to set a variable called color mode to the void color mode. Okay, we haven't created this yet. We're going to need to go back in and create this. Also, we'll need to do that same thing that we did before. Got that. All right, let's go back to our shader and add the color mode. So here we are. The shader, we'll add, this be a uint, unsigned int, color mode. And then down here, I'm going to create a switch statement. That's based on the color mode. And unfortunately, I can't use the enum within this shader, so we just have to know that case 0 is solid color. So if I'm in case 0, then I'm just going to set the color equal to the color. Break on that. And if I'm in case 1, then I'm in heading. So, and then I will use this new heading code that we just created. Clean this up. And hopefully that's all good. Let's do that trick where we break this out to make this floating. We'll run it. And let's see how this works now. So I should be able to go in here, and I can change my color in real time and make this brighter so you can see these. But I can also go in here and select color by heading. And so now you can bounce back and forth. Interesting, they're all flying in the direction that makes them almost the same color. So there you see. Okay. We're going to add another color mode, which colors the voids based on the number of friends that they have. So sort of like a heat map of where the most friends are within the flock. And so same idea here. We've got a texture map that goes from 0, 0 to 1, 1. This time we're going to map the V value based on the number of friends divided by the maximum number of friends. So you can have a sort of a different high end of friends if you've got 100 Boids versus say 10,000 Boids. So you may need to adjust that max friends to get the visualization that you want. Same idea here. We check this Boid. It has 0 friends, so that would be colored blue at the top. This Boid has 1 friend, so you can see as we walk down here how the different colors map based on the checks when these Boids see how many friends that they have. You do that for all the Boids, you're going to end up with sort of this cool heat map pattern. So look at how to implement that next. All right, we're back in GIMP, so we're going to create another image. We're just going to do 1 by 32 again. And this texture map will be a little bit different. I'm going to use the counterclockwise full saturation. You'll see what we're going to do here. So I'll start at the top, bring this down here. But in this case, we don't want it to wrap. We want the blue, the least amount of friends, to be at the 0 end. So I can take this, I can drag this further out until I get just blue on that, and maybe we go 1 more. Jeez. Okay. Now we've got the deep blue there. We've got red at the other end. Same thing, we'll export as, we'll call this friend map. Export that, export. Now we're going to connect the friend map up to the shader here. So I'm going to do uniform sampler 2D friend map. And I'm also going to make a variable for the max friends that we talked about. Unit max friends. This default down to 10. And what's nice is now that we have this case statement, it's easy to add new color modes. So case 2, we need color equals texture friend map back to, again, 0 for the U. For the V, it's going to be, well, we probably realize the problem because we don't know the number of friends. But what we could do is store that information in this void position rotation in the alpha channel, because we're not using that for anything right now. As part of the data, we've got X, Y rotation. So we'll put it there, and then we will divide that by the max friends, and that will give us our UV. But then I want to clamp this value between basically 0 and 1. so we don't get out of bounds with this. Okay, we're good on that. Let's look at our shader here. I'm going to put this thing back in the window here. The inspector, if we click on the void particles, we've got a place for our friend map now. Store it out here. Put that there, friend map. We'll set that there. Okay, now we've got our friend map as well. Now when we run this, let's pop this out again and run it. You'll see that now these are being colored by the amount of friends they have. So if you wanted to adjust the threshold, I have to click on our main scene here. Just down, if you want to adjust the threshold, you can turn down the number of friends they would need to have to go red. So 50 is pretty high for this amount. So let's try 25. Let's try 10. So now we're starting to see some that are showing up red. So anyone that's red has 10 friends or more. So a cool way to sort of get an idea or a heat map of the amount of friends that these voids have as they're flocking. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. We learned how to change the color of the voids, color the voids by heading, as you're seeing here, and then also color them based on the number of friends that they have. In the next video, we'll move on to the spatial binning and go after increasing performance.